What's going on, guys? Welcome to the very first episode of the Flashcast podcast. I'm your co-host, David.
And I'm your co-host.
And today we're sitting down with actor David Dastmalchian, who is featured in a number of comic book films and TV shows, including The Dark Knight, Ant-Man, Gotham, and The Flash. How are you doing, David?
Hello, welcome. Welcome to my world. It's great to be here. I'm having a wonderful day today in the 64th century, as I told you before. So I'm glad I get to chat with you about your boring past in the 21st century.
Glad to hear it.
David, we have prepared some questions for you to answer, if you don't mind.
Go, shoot away.
All right. So, on Gotham, how did it feel to be part of the origin story of arguably the most popular villain of all time?
It was amazing. I loved the role that I got to play on Gotham, but it was what's really cool for me as a lifelong comic geek. I was always my biggest heroes. My favorite heroes were, and this is just me, the way I read comics as a kid. My heroes were always from Marvel, and my favorite villains were from DC. And the greatest villain to me, and my favorite villain that I loved reading, and I was rather obsessed with as a kid, was the Joker. So in my professional life, the fact that I've gotten to play in the world of the Joker has been such a dream. And on Gotham, the way that they resurrected and the way that they brought this kind of plot, if you will, from that seemed lifted straight from Death in the Family, I thought was so cool. With Jerome coming back, and then the face, especially in the face stapling. So it was just a blast for me, and I love serving my master.
So, what is it like to have been part of 4 different on-screen comic book universes?
It's a dream. I will, for as long as I can continue doing what I do, which is acting, I'm always grateful for whatever the job is, because I love acting. Acting to me is such a fun experience. It can be very challenging and difficult, don't get me wrong, and there's times that it's strenuous and straining and stressful, but it's always fun, even at its worst. And I've been so blessed and grateful and fortunate to get to work on so many different wonderful kinds of things. But when it comes to the comic book world, being that is one of my greatest passions, it's a dream. Sometimes I'll be standing on set and I'm looking at Paul Rudd as he's standing before me as Scott Lang in the ant suit, and I think, is this really happening? Or standing next to Heath Ledger when he's in his Joker makeup, thinking, how can this be happening to me? And just recently being on the set of The Flash and walking into Star Labs and getting to blow the place to smithereens and chase these people around, including, Caitlin Snow and Barry Allen and Joe. I mean, it was just, it's such a fun job and experience. And I hope that people enjoy watching as much as I do making these things, because they are, to me, the dream come true.
Yeah, we've had a blast watching you, man. So, which role in particular has helped you in developing as an actor, like the most, would you say?
Of these particular roles, or of all the work that I've done, like in my career?
In these particular roles.
In the comic book world, I would say, it's difficult. That's such a tough. It's a great question, but it's almost impossible for me to answer, because each one has shaped and guided me into becoming the actor that I am, and that I always hope to be improving and becoming a better actor with every role that I take on. And my technique and my style and approach changes as I get older and as I find new methods that work for me. And I will say that, from The Dark Knight, being influenced by that incredible director, that incredible star, watching the way that they worked had a huge impact on me. And it was my first time on a film set, so that was life-changing. Then you go to being on Ant-Man, which was so changing to my work, because they were such an improvisatory. The Marvel universe is such a beautifully written scripts, but they're very open to improvising on the day and discovering what they find on the day, so that then they can incorporate it into the next day's writing or acting. And so being around, Paul, Michael, and the rest of these guys with Peyton, that I learned so much. On Gotham, learning how to get into the TV mode of work is really stressful and difficult. And I learned a lot watching the way that, Cameron, and then obviously the guys who are series regulars on the show did it, the way that they can compress and create in such a constrained amount of time and still, flourish with these wonderful characters. And then finally on The Flash most recently, it's the first time I've played a character who's gotten to interact in a direct way, not just as a bystander, but in actually incorporating it into the performance, the use of powers, abilities, and what we would describe as like VFX in that world. And I learned I don't know if I learned or if I just got to revel in the joy of getting to use my imagination, knowing what objects, explosives, and other, awesome effects were, at my character's disposal, and whether they were physically there when we were shooting the scene, knowing that they were in my imagination and how they got to shape the performance. That was, it was so fun to like get to conjure, a magical bomb, and they let me play with all sorts of propage, and they gave me all kinds of neat things to play with when I was doing the work, even if you weren't going to see it in the final cut. So it was really, really fun.
So, did your role as Thomas Skiff, or if I'm getting that name right, in The Dark Knight, did it have any influence on the way you performed as Dwight on Gotham, seeing as the two characters share a similar presence?
No, I think that most importantly, I wanted to create somebody new. So if anything, the only impact that it may have had on me was, making sure that I stayed true to the tone of this new world that's been created for the series Gotham, which is quite a different world tonally than, say, like Nolan's, universe. So I think that what I gained from that experience doing The Dark Knight and how it impacted my work as Dwight has also affected every single other role that I've ever done. And that was when I was doing the scene work with, Mr. Nolan directing this scene. I mean, it's my first time on a film set, you guys, and there's Christopher Nolan like side coaching and working with me and these other incredible actors. Was the ability to have to create, even under circumstances that as a fan, you guys get it, how hard it would be to focus and not lose your proverbial, curse word, insert whatever curse word you want here. Like to be able to just stay creative and stay in the moment and be present and use all the, years of comic book knowledge that I've gained to influence the way I made choices. That was, I'd say, the similarity, and that's what I could bring to Gotham. I felt much more comfortable just going for it after having had such a positive experience on The Dark Knight.
Yeah. So, I know you can't really give away much, but do you have any like hints that you can give us about potentially reprising your role as Abra-Cadabra or in the MCU as Kurt from Ant-Man?
Oh, it looks like Steven got disconnected from the call. You can just keep going.
Well, since I know this is as far as the MCU and Kurt from Ant-Man, that is Dr. Pym keeps his secrets so close to the vest that even those of us who are part of the Marvel world, like I'm getting, it's such a wonderful thing to be part of the Marvel family, because now that I get to go to really cool things and interact with all the other Marvel, film people, and I'm as clueless as anybody about what is cooking up in Pym Labs right now, but I am excited and optimistic. I had such a life-changing, incredible, fun experience working on that film. I'd love to get to go back and play with Peyton again. And then as far as The Flash goes, that since this is a Flash podcast, and to all of your listeners and to you guys out there, I think I can say obviously that as Abra, a magician never reveals his tricks. So where or when he may show up again is completely going to be, in the cards, if you will. But I do think that the response and the reaction from the fans, it has an effect. It can't not have an effect on the way people who write and create shows, respond to the way that they're going to create new plots and storylines. So, if people liked the way that I inhabited and manifested this iconic character, then hopefully they'll bring me back. And I think if not, then maybe he was just a one-time dip into Barry's world. But I hope, and I keep my fingers crossed, that people liked it and that I get to continue to put on the magical hat.
Yeah, personally, I thought your character, it was a bit of change of pace. Like, he was a bit different and unique, so I really dug that about your performance, honestly.
Well, thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Lastly, is there a particular comic book character that you would like to play in the future? Because I, for one, think you could pull off an excellent Riddler in a future Batman movie or TV show.
With the Riddler, what I would love, riddle me this, David and Steve. Who do you wish to see put on the green? And let's see. I can't get into that right now, other than, yes, I would love to play the Riddler. Somebody brought that up on Twitter recently, and it got me all pacing around the house and starting to get my comics out and looking back at Riddler, because I've always loved him as a character. And to think of him in the 21st, the way that we look at comic book films now and taking a role like that, seriously, as much as, it's fun to watch and see what they've done with him in the past in the really big send-ups and the silly, obviously, I think I would love a stab at a darker, more psychopathic, psychologically kind of twisted villain. And I think obviously what you see happening on Gotham is awesome. It would be there's something really, really, really awesome happening with the performance that's going on that show. So I would probably be getting a lot of inspiration from that. But I hope that he makes his way into the DCU and film world, and that some studio executive says, "Oh, Dastmalchian, he's crazy enough to come in and do that." And then what was the other part of your question? Because it was a good one. It was something. Oh, who I want to play. My first series that I read, like I told you guys before, my heroes came from the Marvel universe, some of my favorites, and I got made fun of a lot for this, but I don't care, because whatever, it's comic books and you should love what you love. But the first series that I collected religiously and that I subscribed to and I chased everything down on was the West Coast Avengers, because they were, really going when I was a kid. And then that morphed into my love for Moon Knight. I don't know if I'm physically the right type to play Spectre. I would love to play a villain of Moon Knight, but ultimately who I think realistically, and I would love people to really push this somewhere out there in the universe, is Morbius. Morbius has been, over my lifetime, one of the heroes that I've never not loved and not thought about a lot and, collected things related to. So I hope and pray there's a world in maybe what's happening with the Spider-Man world that Morbius could come into battle, maybe say like Werewolf by Night with Spider-Man at some point. So we'll see. Send up a good vibe for me if you guys will, because I would love to do that.
Oh, we definitely will. That's all the time we have for today. Make sure to subscribe and follow us on Twitter at FlashcastPod for all the latest updates on everything podcast and comic book related. Links are in the description below.
Do what they said. Do what they said, or else I'll come back from the future and teach you all a lesson.
Last but most certainly not least, big thanks to David Dastmalchian for joining us today on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, guys. Have a great one. We'll talk to you in the future.
Well, we hope you all enjoyed listening, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Hey guys, it's David here, just coming to you after the video with a short little message. Oh! Thank you! I really appreciate that. That means the world to me. That just made my day. So, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to the podcast. We had a great time recording with David. He's a great guy. Definitely check out the links in the description below to what he was talking about. So just a quick update. We're still setting everything up. We still have an unofficial logo. The logo will probably be changing, most likely in the next few weeks. The banner and our format and art for the channel will absolutely be changing. We're still actually setting up a kind of format for recording, and there are a bit of audio problems that I'm sure you heard that we are still trying to fix. So it will be fixed soon, so don't worry about that. We're just trying to get into the swing of things. But our podcast is actually going to be taking a different format for the next episode. It's going to be a review of Man of Steel, so definitely check that out. I promise you guys do not want to miss it. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed listening once again, and I'll see you guys later.